My dear friends in Jesus, I welcome you all to this daily Catholic reflection, and this is Father Velangani Tumma. Today we are on the 8th Sunday in Ordinary Time. The Gospel is Luke chapter 6, verses 39 to 45, where Jesus says seemingly unconnected different things when we read it at the peripheral level. But when you go deeper into the gospel, which is the beauty of the gospel, Jesus gives us totally a different message which we don't get it at the first when you read it for the first time. Because the words of Jesus, the four small parables that he narrates today, we remember some of the four, like when you have a big log in your eye, how can you point your finger and see the small speck in your brother's eye? And we tend to conclude by saying, oh, Jesus says, do not judge, therefore mind your business. Don't interfere into the moral teachings of me. I'm not going to follow anybody's, because Jesus says, don't judge, therefore don't judge me. That is not the true message today. The true message today is about you have to follow a true teacher, a true leader. So Jesus puts forth before the people that were following him, that were listening to him, look, until now you have your leaders, namely Pharisees and scribes, and on the other side you have me. Jesus says, do not follow them. Because if you don't follow the right teacher, and if you follow a fake teacher, a fake leader, then you are going to suffer. You are going to be doomed. And Jesus says this by narrating to us what will happen, the four negative things that will happen if you follow the wrong teacher. First of all, he says in verse 39, if a blind man leads another blind man, both of them will fall into a pit. Pit means it is not a small thing. The word in Greek used here is botunon. Botunon means it is a very deep and deadly pit, like a dried well. If you fall into it, you will die. And it is symbolic to the hell. Because in the Old Testament, blindness is equivalent to being void of truth. If you do not know the truth, then you are called blind in the Old Testament. If you do not have spiritual sight, it is called blindness. Isaiah 29:10, Isaiah 44:18, Jeremiah 5:21, and Psalm 82 verse 5 says, a wicked people do not know the truth, they cannot grasp, and they will walk in darkness. Therefore, blindness is equivalent to darkness in the Old Testament. And in 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 4, we read, the God of this world blinded their minds. And here he is referring to the Pharisees and scribes, people who are blind and they are leading other people, so both of them will fall down. In Matthew chapter 15 verse 12, the disciples are coming to Jesus and they are asking him, Master, do you know that the Pharisees are angry with you? To which Jesus is replying in Matthew 15:13, whatever the plant that is not planted by my Father will be rooted up, will be plucked with the roots. He is saying that Pharisees are not planted by God the Father. And then he goes on to say, they are blind leaders. And if a blind man follows another blind man, both of them will fall into pit. Again, Jesus says the same. Therefore, Jesus says, do not follow them, because I am the way, I am the truth, and the light also, he said. Referring to the Pharisees in Matthew 23 verse 13, Jesus says, Woe to you, Pharisees, because you have closed the doors of heaven. You neither go to it and you neither allow others to enter it. So Jesus says they are the blind leaders, so do not follow them. And secondly, a disciple is not above the teacher. Jesus says every other leader in this world is from this world, but Jesus came from above. If a disciple cannot outdo the master, a disciple cannot go beyond the master, and if the master himself is from this world, how can he enter heaven? So therefore, this is the danger of following a false teacher. And number 3, Jesus says those leaders are hypocrites. In Matthew 23, verses 13, 14, 15, 17, 23, 25 and 27, repeatedly he calls them hypocrites, because outwardly they are something, but inwardly they are the opposite. Therefore, do not follow them. And finally, they are wicked and evil people. How do we know? In verse 43, Jesus says, a good tree will always bear a good fruit, and a bad tree always will give bad fruits. And the opposite cannot happen. Therefore, Jesus says, look at the life of those leaders. If wicked things are coming out, that means their trees, their seeds are wicked. Therefore, do not follow them. And Jesus says, I am the good shepherd, because from him all good things, all good fruits came. Forgiveness, kindness, mercy, even forgiving the enemies, etc. Therefore, today, my dear brothers and sisters, the call from Jesus is to follow him, the true leader, the true master, and not anyone else. I would like to thank you for joining me every day in following these reflections. And finally, I would like to conclude with an incident that happened. From New York, Bishop by name Potter was traveling in a ship to Europe, and he was asked to share his compartment with another man. And when the bishop saw that man, the bishop thought, this man does not look trustworthy. Therefore, the bishop takes all his valuable goods and he wants to put it in the reception and lock it so that this man would not steal. When the bishop goes and hands over all these precious things in the reception, you know what the receptionist, dear bishop, it's okay you are doing this, but you know what? Your neighbor in the same compartment did the same, because he did not, you were not looking trustworthy to him. So that is what Jesus says. Before we see the speck in the other's eyes, we need to look into the big logs in our eyes. Wish you a very and happy, blessed Sunday. Thank you.